This amazing Bell P-39 was located at the bottom of Lake Martyava within the Russian Arctic Circle in the summer of 2004. As with other recoveries over the years, it was discovered by a fisherman who saw the silt-covered outline through the crystal-clear water. With the serial on the plane, a search through the archives showed the pilot had disappeared on a transfer flight in November 1944. The aircraft went down in World War II and the pilot's remains were still in the cockpit. It was flown by a 22-year-old Russian Lieutenant Ivan Baranovsky. Airplane is currently in display at Niagara Aerospace Museum in Buffalo, New York. The Atka B-24D Liberator bomber, located at its crash site in Atka Island, Alaska, played a highly significant role in World War II. This aircraft flew in at least 18 combat missions before finally succumbing to bad weather. Manufactured in 1941, it is now only one of two B-24Ds known to exist in the world. On the 9th of December, 1942, Colonel Hart and Brigadier General William Ealing took off from Adak in a B-24 piloted by Captain John Andrews. The two officers wished to accompany the weather plane to make personal observations from Kiska and Attu. The plane reached Attu, circled over Holt's Bay, and then returned to Adak. Arriving back at Adak at 1600, the pilot found his base socked in by weather. He notified the tower that he planned to fly to the far end of Atka Island and attempt a crash landing, and the plane was crash landed. There was only one casualty. General Lynn sustained a fractured collarbone and the crew members and Colonel Hart spent an uncomfortable night on the beach. The next day they were found by a Navy patrol boat. The abandoned plane is located near the southern coast of the Bukit Peninsula in Bali. It's not exactly hidden away from the world. What makes it even stranger is that no one seems to know exactly how it got there. Some locals say that the plane may have been purchased and reassembled where it now stands, and was destined to be converted into a tourist-friendly restaurant. Apparently, however, the owner ran out of money and left his Boeing 737 to slowly rust, surrounded by a shabby hut and a few shipping containers. Apart from that, little is known about the abandoned aircraft. This airplane is parked in Gaines Creek, Alaska. During startup, the number 1 engine exploded and separated from left wing. No one was injured, but the aircraft was written off. This 1962 Lockheed Jetstar sat abandoned on a tarmac in Roswell, New Mexico for 35 years since the death of Elvis Presley. The musician shared the jet with his father, Vernon Presley. Its interiors are said to be designed by Elvis himself. Aircraft was later sold in an auction. On the 20th of February 1947, U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Vern H. Annett and his 11-man crew took off on what was supposed to be a routine mission. This mission, like the 6 before it, was designated top secret. Total mission time was expected to be from 12 to 20 hours, touching down at Ladd Field at 10 a.m. On the 21st of February, 1947, Annett's B-29 Keybird Super Fortress, belonging to the 46th Reconnaissance Squadron, was forced to land on a frozen lake. The crew of the downed aircraft were later rescued, leaving Keybird behind in the Arctic tundra, where it remained for 47 years. In 1995, an attempt to repair the aircraft was failed when the plane caught fire during final stages. The Lady of the Lake is the last WB-29 Super Fortress left at Eielson Air Force Base, which was dropped from the Air Force inventory in 1955 because of a ground accident. The aircraft was taken to the pond it currently rests in and was used for open water extraction training until it became too dangerous. The aircraft was abandoned where it lays today. This plane crashed on a beach in Ventanilla, Mexico. It was a narco plane that had crashed into the beach while making a delivery. The long, flat, and uninterrupted beach at Ventanilla is the perfect natural airstrip and often served as a landing place for aircraft involved in the drug trade. After the crash, the crew abandoned the plane and the drugs. Whoever got over there might have got enough to smoke for a long time. No one was injured when the Lockheed Constellation Pegasus crash-landed onto the icy fields of Antarctica on the 8th of October, 1970. The ill-fated flight had run into a storm and was forced to crash-land in impossible weather conditions. Where the aircraft dramatically slid to a halt nearly 35 years ago is the exact same position it lies today. Miraculously, the 80 people aboard the plane survived the crash with no major injuries. The ice landing strip where the plane crashed was later named Pegasus White Ice Runway, and the landing field, Pegasus Field, in honor of the fallen aircraft. However, Pegasus Field closed in December of 2014 because of excess summer melt. This rare abandoned Tu-128UT fighter jet was found in an aircraft repair plant in the Russian town of Roshev by aviation photographer Marina Listseva. Tupolev Tu-128UT, also known as Tu-28UT, is a training aircraft based on the Tu-128 Interceptor. Only 10 of them have been built, and this seems to be the only one remaining. Tupolev Tu-128 was developed in the early 1960s and introduced in 1964. Soviets needed a new interceptor aircraft that could cover a large radius and combat NATO bombers like the American B-52, mainly during adverse weather conditions. Tu-128, with a maximum weight of 43 tons, was the heaviest fighter to enter service. A total of 198 aircraft had been built when production ended in 1970. It was finally retired in 1990. This Russian plane landed at the now abandoned airfield in 1999. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the plane was operated by the Russian Air Force until the mid-1990s. The plane was then re-registered to SS in 1997 and then to Airpass until 1998. It was last registered to Centrafrican Airlines from 1998 to 2000. Two of these airlines, SS and Centrafrican, were connected to Victor Bout, a notorious arms dealer, who for a time in the 1990s, is believed to have operated from Sharjah and Ras Al Khaimah. His planes transported cargo and arms from Eastern Europe via the Middle East to Africa. The UAE banned Bout from entering in the early 2000s, and he is currently serving a 25-year sentence in a US jail. There are multiple stories regarding the landing of this plane at the current location.